What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Footy Review. We got a Madrid fan and a Barca fan from the US. We're talking about week 5, La Liga, Barcelona with a 4-0 win over Cadiz. Pretty convincing win. It was 0-0 at halftime, but then Barcelona really, turned on the gas in the second half and pulled away. What are your thoughts on the game?
So I actually wasn't as convinced as maybe you were. You know, it kind of it's interesting because they start with a front three that we normally don't see. It was Depay, Torres, and Rafinha, who I guess would be the normal part in that start, but the goals didn't start coming until they put on Lewandowski, Dembele, and Ansu Fati. So it feels like we have a set amount of players that are actually reliable, and then the rest are kind of just for rotation. And maybe that's unfair to say, maybe, but it just feels like, you know, not super convincing from the starting 11, behind the front three. Like, obviously, midfield, defense, fine, they're not really carrying the game. At the end of the day, it's the attack that does that. But when it comes to who we can rely on to score the goals, it has to be Lewandowski, it has to be Nabella, and it has to be Ansu Fati, and then you can sprinkle in some midfielders there. Frankie had a goal. Pedri scored a couple times over the opening weeks, but when it comes to the top three, it feels like who's going to be putting those balls in the net.
Yeah, I think Barca definitely knows who their starters are, particularly in that front three that are the most effective. Lewandowski, Dembele, and Rafinha. So the starting lineup for Barca there was a lot of heavy rotation, not only in the front three. So we had Ferran Torres, Depay, Rafinha starting at the top, De Jong, Busquets, Gavi in the middle. So no Pedri. And then we had Balde, Piqué, Araujo, and Bellerin, the new signing coming in on the right back. But yeah, just staying about the attack and how you mentioned that it seems like Barcelona was struggling to find the goal without their starters. I think the goal came in the 55th minute, De Jong's goal, which was right before the first subs came on. So I think kind of to what I think Xavi was feeling that he wasn't getting any enough
Right,
productivity out of the front three. It just so happened that they got the goal right before the subs came
right,
on.
and that's what I'm saying is that like like even though they got the goal, like it doesn't feel like super convincing, and Xavi definitely felt like he had to make those subs.
Yeah, but I also think though the reason I think it's a good performance for Barca is because obviously trying to rest players with all the Champions League games and all that. The 11 that started this game proved that they can be competitive. They kept the
Yes.
game at 0-0 at least. They were creating opportunities. The clinical finish wasn't there, but they kept the game very competitive. They were the better team still over Cadiz,
Yeah.
obviously, and then you have the luxury of bringing on players like Lewandowski and freaking
Yeah.
Dembele to just kill the game off at the very end. So I think the game kind of went according to plan, but it was kind of a missed opportunity for some of these young players that aren't normally the starters, but had an
Yeah.
opportunity
I
to
mean, like
start.
4-0 is a great scoreline to have, but it didn't feel like, they were punching it in, if that makes sense. Um, like there's a convincing 4-0 win and then there's an unconvincing 4-0 win. And it was convincing for the last 30 minutes, but that's when you have all your stars in. So um when you don't, it feels like you would rather have them perform a little better when, even though they're rotating, because when you're just when it comes after you start all your stars, it's like, okay, well that's what they're supposed to do. So when they're kind of rotating and I don't know, it didn't look great for the first 55 minutes.
No, I mean it wasn't the first 55. Definitely wasn't Barca's best, but it also was more than enough, for the game.
Yeah.
But then when you're watching Barca, you want to see, the excellence. You want to see one of the
Right.
greatest teams in the world. The player to me that like you felt the most felt their absence the most was Lewandowski. I mean, it's kind of an obvious statement to make. I'm not, reinventing the wheel or anything here, but yeah, I mean, it was reminiscent to portions of last season where Barca just was struggling to find the breakthrough, and then Lewandowski has come in this year just as an
Right. No,
absolute
but like what
wrecking
you're
ball.
saying makes sense. Like what you're saying makes sense is because, and like you said, like last year it kind of felt like Barca kind of was struggling a bit and like to break through, and then this year you just have Lewandowski who just what 10th minute, 15th, 20th, 30th, whatever, whenever it just happens, he starts Barca off with a goal, and it kind of seems like there's a bit of ease to it for him, and like it that feeling carries over for Barca. And when he's not there, you feel it because it's not as easy for the team to just get the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, and Lewandowski is, I feel like he's loving life at Barcelona right now. Yeah, he came on, let's see, he came on, I believe, in the second half, he was one of the first subs in the 57th minute, and then he scored by the 65th minute, so he was on the field for a total of like 9 minutes. And his goal too was like a classic poacher's goal. Just the
It's
play
just
was
so easy for him.
yeah, he kind of let the play develop in front of him, and he actually just came in with a late run and picked up like a good bounce for him and just like slotted it into an open net. So Lewandowski gives you just that natural, that killer instinct. And
Right.
he's also giving out charity to Fati. He could have had another goal in the 86th minute, but he had the opportunity to take the shot,
What a
but
guy.
he
What a
gave
guy.
he gave it to Fati, so he was the Red Cross in the game for Fati yesterday.
And honestly, like that just shows the qualities of, maybe I'm gassing him up too much, but it shows the qualities of a good leader. You're getting the young kid, his goals. It just, it's almost reminiscent of, Messi when Neymar came to the squad, and then when honestly when Fati was there as well. Like, obviously you can be the star, but you know, getting these guys their own is a good thing, and to see it in the squad, it's always encouraging. You don't see it from players like Ronaldo or people like that, but it's good to see. Like it's good
Or
to see.
Messi, or Messi.
Messi always did that shit, dude. Like dude, even in he gave a penalty. Like he went to take the penalty and then passed it off to Neymar so he could get a hat trick. Like
Dude, I hate
you
when
don't
that
see that
happened.
often.
When that happened and it became like a big thing in the news, everyone was like, "Look how." I was like, "Dude, this is so
What
stupid."
do
Like
you
it,
mean? Look at what is this? What do you mean? Like it's when have you ever seen a player give a penalty like that?
it just seemed really dumb and clunky to me. But we don't have to go into the past too much.
Yeah,
Let's stay focused on this game.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So, all right, we talked about the front three a lot. Actually, the last thing I wanted to say, kind of continuing on this theme that we're talking about, in the first half, Rafinha hit the post. So, and he's one of the normal starters. So it's like
Yeah,
again,
I mean
again,
Rafinha, like I said, he's like the one normal guy that you would see there,
yeah,
and
that's what I'm.
I don't
So
think
it's
he
like
played.
it's
He
like
didn't
the
play
yeah.
poorly, like you said. He hit the post, like he had a good game, but like it just feels like the grease isn't in the wheels when Lewandowski and Dembele aren't there.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Moving to the middle, you had De Jong, Busquets, and Gavi starting. No Pedri, who has really been in command of the midfield this season so far. What are your thoughts on the performance from the midfielders?
I thought the midfield was okay. I mean, it's good to see De Jong starting. He adds a different element. He adds a little bit more.
He's box to box.
Yeah, he's box to box, so he adds a little bit more like tenacity to the midfield, and it's good to see. But it's interesting, and this is people are gonna call me crazy for this, but I would like to see a starting three of De Jong, Gavi, and Pedri. I want to see Busquets on the bench for a game, not because I think he deserves to be on the bench, but I just want to see what that looks like because at some point in the future, that will be the starting three. And we kind of have to see how that's going to go. Pedri as, an element of just, technical. Um,
Iniesta like. He's kind of like Iniesta.
yes, exactly. I would say that as well. Gavi, he's just always on the press. He's always, ready to go. He adds that element, and then I kind of like De Jong for because he's got it up here. Um,
De Jong's
he's got
quality.
it for sure, and he's box to box, which is a type of midfielder that Barca normally doesn't have. And so it's good to see that. And I've made some criticism about him about how when he gets on the field, at least when he comes on as a sub, he feels like a second striker. But when he starts the game, he does fill in that holding role, and he does it well. And a week ago, he kind of filled in that role well, and he was almost like a third center back. So I'm not as concerned as I was before about him, drifting too forward, because when he's in the middle, he does a good job at that holding role. And I didn't know if he was going to be able to do that, but when he got the start, he looked good.
No, yeah, I've always thought that De Jong is an undisputed starter in this team. You know, when he's fully fit and once the whole contract situation was resolved. I wanted to talk kind of about Busquets. I think having Gavi and De Jong with who both players have such a high work rate around him, it kind of it lets Busquets play his classic game. Of just not too much. He's not a runner. He's not like physically dominant or anything like that. He's just smart positionally, extremely technical. And I think Busquets is going to be. It seems like Xavi is not dropping Busquets.
Yeah.
I think Busquets has played almost every game so far this season. So Busquets very much responsible for like setting the tempo and setting the pace in the midfield. I know like one of the quotes that you love about, I think it was Guardiola that said that
I was
about.
gonna bring it up. No, it was Del Bosque, Vincente Del Bosque.
Okay, I'll let you say it. You can say it.
Okay. Yeah. So, if you watch the game, you don't see Busquets. But if you watch Busquets, you see the whole game. And Vincente del Bosque said that in like 2014. And it's a great quote because there are players that are truly like that, where, if they're doing their job and if they're playing well, you just don't really notice them in the game. But Busquets is one of those players that if you're watching just him, you can kind of see exactly everything that's going on in the game, and it's actually pretty beautiful to watch.
And having the two younger, higher work rate midfielders helping him out in the middle, it allows him to really dictate the game. And I was seeing Busquets, playing a classic Busquets game yesterday, looking really good and definitely benefiting from from being able to not work so hard because he has other people doing the work
Yeah,
around
and
him.
having De Jong on the field, I feel like um brings that out of him more. I know he came on as a sub, but like at the same time, like having somebody that is going to do the dirty work and is box to box, like so you can just focus on your own game. It looked really good, and I think that I know I said that I want to see him on the bench, not permanently, just to see how those other three will work in the midfield.
I think your best
Um,
starting 11 has Busquets in it, man. Your
Yeah,
best
no,
team
I
has
agree. No, I
Busquets.
agree. But I do. It makes sense to have those three work out exactly how they're going to play in the middle there, instead of just when Busquets is suddenly gone, you're going to throw them in there. It makes sense to have them work it out. In my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but um, obviously Busquets is, in my opinion, so far our best midfielder.
Yeah, and I think it's just crazy the amount of minutes that he's getting. I feel like he's not getting a lot of
Yeah,
rest.
he's old.
Granted, his play style isn't too physically taxing, the way that he's more of a cerebral player. So maybe there's an element of that and why Xavi's leaving him in, but he has to play versus Bayern. Like you need
Yeah,
Busquets.
yeah, for sure.
And then let's move on to the back line. You had Balde, PK, Araujo, and Bellerin. PK had, I think the defense was, I mean, obviously you got the clean sheet. pretty solid performance by the defense. I thought PK played pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is with Pique. I mean, like last year, he had one of the best years of his career, um, starting. So I get why Xavi is giving all the younger players their minutes, and it makes sense because in the future it's going to have to be them versus Piqué. But you know, Piqué got a rotation today, and he played well. He did well with it, so no complaints there. I thought actually Bellerin played pretty well. Like I don't really know why he fell out of favor at Arsenal,
I think it
but
was a lot of
apparently
injuries, a lot of injuries.
right, but apparently he still had a good working relationship with Arteta and the staff there. So it's not like, he was like a problem guy. But he played well. The service maybe is leaving a little to be desired. But other than that, I think he played well. And I don't like in terms of defense, it it's a good thing because it now allows what I think will be the starting duo in the middle, Araujo and Kunde, to actually play in their natural positions instead of, swapping them out for right back or whoever else you're going to put at right back. It gives us a little bit of stability because he's actually a right back, not like we don't have to do the makeshift thing and we don't have to put Roberto in there
Or Kunde or
because
something.
I really don't like Roberto. I don't know if you've gotten that vibe over the last couple of weeks, but
Nah, I knew it. I
get him
knew it.
out.
No, the right side definitely felt more well-rounded with Bellerin because he's like the classic right back, up and down all the time. And in terms of like build-up play and you know using the fullback to create overloads on one side, or he's way better at that, and it's more natural to him than Sergio Roberto. Sergio Roberto is more just like okay, just make sure you're in your spot, play the defense, don't take too many risks and go forward. But with Bellerin,
And then
you
he
have an
does
outlet.
take the risk and he ends up like on the left side or in the middle. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? You're right back.
Yeah, no, but I think Bellerin is a good pickup if he can stay fit. Definitely a
And he's
starter.
younger than I thought. He's like 28. I thought he was like 30 already.
Yeah, so he's like hitting his prime, so good pickup by Barcelona for sure. Also on the left back, Balde started and played 78 minutes, and then Marcos Alonso gets a cameo appearance for his debut on the left side. But yeah, another solid game by Balde. He's so fast, man. Balde is freaking fast.
I love Balde. He's a great and honestly, I'm not gonna say that I said it last year, but like, when he had like his cameo appearances last year, like you could see that like he's kind of ready for that role. And you know, Jordi Alba, who's also very fast, like there's nothing to be missed when you put Alex Balde in. Um, Maybe, some maturity, some of the, vision and, just game sense. But in terms of making sure that you have a solid left side, Balde can do that.
Yeah, for sure. I think so. I think I for me it was a great performance by Barcelona, especially in that second half with the starters coming off the bench. Some of the reason for the rotations was definitely Xavi's thinking about Bayern coming up this week in the Champions League. What is your best 11 if you were Xavi? How would you want to see Barcelona line up against Bayern Munich?
That's a good question. All right.
I think the
So
front three is set. It's Rafinha, Lewandowski, and Us.
I don't hmm, I don't know. I agree with you. Yes, but I do think that it would be interesting to see Fati in there instead of Rafinha.
As a starter, I doubt it. As a starter, I
No, I don't
doubt it.
think that's going to happen. And honestly, I agree with you that that is the three that you should go with. But I do think it would be interesting to see Fati in there. But I'll agree with you on the three. And then in the middle, it'll be Busquets. Um, I say Pedri, and I say honestly, I think give Gavi a rest and put De Jong in there. Um, I think that is the best three that we have in terms of the quality that we can present in a game like that. I think that De Jong is hold on. I think De Jong is the better player. Not that I don't think that he's giving Gavi unfair time. I think he deserves it, but I think if to put your best 11, I think it's De Jong. And then in the back, it'll be Araujo, Koundé, Bellerin, and I'll keep Balde there, to be honest, instead of Alonso.
I think Alonso might start against Bayern. I think he might start against Bayern.
He will, but I think Balde is the better choice. But I agree with you. I think Alonso will start.
The occasion of this game, Xavi might think might be a little bit too much for Balde.
It'll be the experience. Yeah, he's a more veteran player, so he'll put him there. But I do think Balde should get the start, but it'll probably be Alonso.
I think Alonso will end up being the starting left back.
Starting, yeah.
And honestly, that it's not bad for Balde. He's so young. You know, you can learn from an experienced dude and replace. I mean, there's going to be rotation this year.
Yeah, like, and then there's you have going the physical ability to like clean up anything else. So it's like you learn, and then not only are you learning, but you know, if you make a mistake or fumble here or there, you have the physical ability to clean that shit up. So it's no big deal.
Yeah. So, any last thoughts on this this Barca performance going into the?
I thought they had a good game. You know, how can you complain about a 4-0 win?
Yeah, definitely. I think Xavi, shows that he has some depth on the bench. Obviously, there's a drop off in quality, and players that can get a job done in La Liga. So that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.